What's going on, everybody? I am Perry White. I'm the host of the Jaguar Journal. I want to make sure that you guys tune in live each and every Saturday morning from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. on 107.3 FM. We also have our affiliates in Alexandria, Louisiana, as well as down in New Orleans. And if you're not able to catch us on radio live, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel as well as follow us on Facebook. It's the Jaguar Journal.
Opinionated, outspoken, informative. The Jaguar Journal. Your source for the latest information on Southern University sports and SWAC athletics. A Baton Rouge sports talk tradition.
I really look forward to hearing more about those partnerships, like with P&G. I know that the game, it's become more than just the game and the Battle of the Bands, right? There are so many events, especially for the students to showcase their talents and all of their academic prowess out there and connect them with good jobs in industries and businesses that they maybe wouldn't have thought of. And the tickets on sale right now for the 51st Bayou Classic this November 30th. $20 to $199. Tickets on sale right now. It did sell out last year, so don't waste your time. Go ahead and buy your ticket ASAP.
Dottie, for the people that want to keep up and follow, what should they go to keep up and get more information for the Bayou Classic?
Well, we have mybayonclassic.com, which is our website, and we are, at this point, as far as I know, the only classic that has an app, so you can go to your app store and purchase that. We have Facebook, My Bayou Classic, and we also have Instagram at Bayou Classic 74. So there's a lot of social media out there. We're always available to you. Just go to our website. We have everything right there, and we'll connect and communicate with you. Thank you for this opportunity. It is the energy and everything that's going around Bayou this year. It is amazing the calls we're already getting, and we're already setting up hotel rooms. And I tell you, that's the other really important piece is your hotel room. I know when you go in, you have to pay for the first night, but I tell you, it's important you get that done because they go fast and sell out. especially the schools, Hilton and the Hyatt and the hotels around there, the Hyatt House, and all the hotels in New Orleans. They're. I mean, we started with having to beg these hotels. Do you know how many hotels that are begging us now? We have over 40 hotels begging Bayou Classic to allow them to be on our website and to give us a rate for our guests. I mean, I'm I'm overwhelmed.
I like the energy. You saying we have the energy. I like the energy because you're exuberant. Listen, if you need some energy around this year's Classic, Brandi and I, look, if you need us,
we're going to be ready.
Hey, at any events you want us to be a part of, and look, use this platform. You're more than welcome anytime because, listen, we have a listenership and viewership not only with here on the radio around the Baton Rouge and the capital city area, but as well as our viewership with our YouTube Live and our Facebook Live. And people not only from Southern and Grambling, of course, we have the ears of Louisiana, but all around in terms of SWAC, HBCU lovers, football, people that just love New Orleans and want to find a reason to come to New Orleans, right? We have that. So this platform is open anytime you have any information or anything you want to put out there to the people that you feel could help this thing be more successful each and every year.
Well, thank you, Perry and Brandi. And I have to tell you, you're part of our family now. So you know what that means. We depend on each other.
That's
so
it.
Yes.
What's going on, everybody? I am Perry White. I'm the host of the Jaguar Journal. I want to make sure that you guys tune in live. What's going on, everybody? I am Perry White. I'm the host of the Jaguar Journal. I want to make sure that you guys tune in live each and every Saturday morning from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. on 107.3 FM. We also have our affiliates in Alexandria, Louisiana, as well as down in New Orleans. And if you're not able to catch us on radio live, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel as well as follow us on Facebook. It's the Jaguar Journal.
Opinionated, outspoken, informative. The Jaguar Journal. Your source for the latest information on Southern University sports and SWAC athletics. A Baton Rouge sports talk tradition.
All right. Good morning. We are here bright and early on a Saturday. Good morning to everybody. It is the Jaguar Journal. I am Perry White. Good to have you guys with us. Woo, we're getting things rocking and rolling this morning. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. Today we're going to have a really good show. We're going to catch you up on a lot of things. And how about the Olympics? Have you guys been paying attention to the Olympics? Yesterday, I just witnessed and found out that breakdancing is a part of the Olympics. And let me tell you, it was very interesting to watch. I did not know this was a thing when it came. I knew this was an international competition, right? But to actually bring it to the Olympics was pretty new. America and China going back and forth in terms of Olympic gold medals and overall wins. Basketball, kind of been up and down, men's basketball, but nonetheless, they'll be playing France today for the gold medal. I'll be paying attention to that because, there's been question marks when you circle the basketball side on the men's and the Olympics. And, I've been quite impressed that the international stage of basketball and where it is now, and just watching these other teams really assert themselves and put pressure and apply pressure to the American team, right? And you look at the American team overall, this is an all-star cast of NBA players. It is the upper echelon, the best of the best that we have in our country. And, you would think in your head when they go play anybody outside of the states besides maybe the guys that are international within the league, that it should be blowouts. But these international teams are like, no, not today. And they're giving them a run for their money. So we'll see what France does today against America for the gold and how things turn out for that. So this should be an interesting show today for you guys. I hope you love it and like it. We're going to talk a little politics. We're going to talk some sports. We're going to look around sports around the state of Louisiana, as well as sports right here at home in Baton Rouge for Southern University. And I know you guys are just anxiously scratching and itching and just want to know what's happening over there on the bluff. Terrence Graves taking over the program. This is his first fall camp. I can tell you I've been on the campus. I've been right there in a few of the practices, watching this team grow and grow to get that chemistry and understand with these coaches. I've been acknowledging and looking at the coaches and watching them from their positions and coordinator spots. This is going to be interesting. I want to see how it all comes together, right? I want to see how it all comes together. But what I can tell you from what I've seen with Coach Graves, he has full command. He is there. He has full command of this program, the way that he wants to coach it, the direction he wants to take it, and his vision for it. Now, it's just like cooking something. You have the ingredients, you put it in. Now, just because you have all the ingredients and you watching the YouTube video on how to do it don't mean your stuff going to come out looking and smelling and tasting the way that they did it. Sometimes it takes a couple times, right? Then sometimes you get it right the first time. That's why I'm going to be curious with this program and where they're headed and with him. Put in the right ingredients, right? The right ingredients are coaches that are well-seasoned, that have the experience, that have been places, that have been head coaches themselves being a part of this staff. That's the part I'm looking at with the right ingredients. Now, you take those ingredients and can you get them to be a great product at the end of the day? And a great product, I think, well, not even I know for Southern fans in the Jaguar Nation is Atlanta. One, Southern fans want to host a SWAC championship in Baton Rouge. That's just been something that Jaguar fans have kind of been looking at. But, other than that, it seemed we've kind of overlooked that and just said Atlanta at this point. However we get there, let's get there. Most of the time when I'm talking to people, I don't really hear too much about hosting the SWAC championship. Whether we play on the road, at home, people just like, I just want to win the SWAC championship at this point. I don't care where we do it at. Let's just win it. Let's get to Atlanta because we're tired of watching the other programs represent their school and boom, they're in Atlanta on the national stage playing for a national championship, HBCU national championship. Southern was on the cusp of that in 2018 and 19. Of course, Alcorn and Fred McNair spoiled both of those seasons and went on. FAMU with Willie Simmons finally got their shot. You look at Howard, got their shot. Other than that, it's been North Carolina Central. Jackson State went 2 years in a row with Deion Sanders. Grambling under Coach Broderick Fobbs had their appearances in the Celebration Bowl and won it. They were the first SWAC school to win the Celebration Bowl when they beat North Carolina Central. So I feel your pain, Jaguar Nation. You just like, man, I just want to get there. However we get there, I just want to get there so I can book those rooms in December in the ATL and show up and show out for the national television audience. And, man, what that would do for the brand of Southern University, what it would do for the football program and athletics and overall just the school itself. It's huge because we've seen what that game does for participating schools. what it does for enrollment, what it does for the overall marketing of the brand, and putting you in households all across the United States, and people learning about you because you're one of the, used to be the first bowl game. I believe now it's like the second or third bowl game. But regardless, you are a bowl game on the FCS level, the only one that they have, and it opens up the door of people watching you because guess what? When it's bowl season, man, you watch bowls of teams, you just like, man, who is this? You watching the Dollar General Bowl, the Family Dollar Bowl, the Burger King Bowl, the Jaguar Journal Bowl, right? You just, whatever come on TV, you just watching some football. Just, you don't know who these teams are, haven't watched them all season, but you're watching it, right? And you find some great matchups, and then boom, right in the midst of that, at 11 o'clock in the morning, starting the day off, there's the Celebration Bowl. And you're like, well, who are these teams? And I'm speaking on behalf of the rest of America who may not keep up with us, listening to the Jaguar Journal or, watching what's happening like we do on this level because we're right here in the region. It's the ones outside of the region. California, Washington, Chicago. Go all the way over to New York, Philadelphia, wherever they're watching it, right? Think about that. That's what you look at as a brand. Growing your brand and putting it in households. And what I like about the SWAC in particular, because I look at our footprint, the SWAC sits in the footprint of the SEC, right? It's literally 1-1. From Texas all the way over to Florida. The SEC just has South Carolina and then goes up to Tennessee, right? And Kentucky. But other than that, we're sitting right there in the footprint. We got to find a way, I believe, for us to really tap into that Dallas market. That Dallas market would be huge for the SWAC. And I'm not just talking about playing games in Dallas, but really showcasing our games in that Dallas-Fort Worth market, right? Because look at the markets that we have within our footprint. Because we have Texas, you got Houston and Texas Southern right there in Houston, Texas. Right up the road from Houston, Texas, Dallas-Fort Worth. Just those two metropolitan areas alone, when you look at the branding and the footprint for our schools, can go a long way. So let's get ready to take a break, guys. When we come back, we'll continue the conversation. Y'all stay tuned. More of the Jaguar Journal.
Danny Johnson, first and foremost, outstanding young man, great character, great young man. Can't say enough about him. Great father. You always see him, hanging around with his son and spending time with his son and his family. As a player, I can't say enough about him. He has all the athletic ability that you would want in a kid with playing corner, the footwork, speed, all the intangibles.
I have a good work ethic. It's been a lot of times, in the off season, I gotta just push myself to go work out. Even if nobody else was out there, just to get an extra push when we get back into the season. Because I always wanted to have that edge over everybody else. So it's just that mindset that I have. I want to be one of the best. So I gotta push myself. If anybody else does. And it's like a lot of stuff that I want to do with my son that I can't do because I'm playing ball. So my biggest return to him is just having him come to games on Saturday. He can see his father play in front of thousands of people. It makes him happy. So whenever he's happy, I'm happy. But just when I get the chance to just go home and hear everything he's been doing in school and what he likes and doesn't like, it just brings me back to that fatherhood of just being around him, and that's what I like to do. I put academics over football because I can't play football forever. At some point I'm gonna have to rely on that degree. So that's my biggest thing, and that's one reason why I came to Southern, to get that degree. So I set myself up to where I'll be able to graduate right after the season. So if football doesn't work out for me, I can always come back and go to grad school. So education is a big thing for me.
Danny Johnson put Southern University on a national stage. Obviously, everybody knows about Jag Nation and Southern University, but you'll see Danny Johnson playing on Sunday one day, and he'll be able to be an ambassador, for the university.
What's going on, everybody? I am Perry White. I'm the host of the Jaguar Journal. I want to make sure that you guys tune in live each and every Saturday morning from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. on 107.3 FM. We also have our affiliates in Alexandria, Louisiana, as well as down in New Orleans. And if you're not able to catch us on radio live, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel as well as follow us on Facebook. It's the Jaguar Journal. All right, we are back. Good morning to everybody. Hope you guys have gotten up. Get your coffee. Have ran to the bathroom. Now you're sitting down. You're turning up your radio. You're turning up your television. You're turning up your phone and whatever else you're listening to, because it is the Jaguar Journal. I'm Perry White. Good to have you guys with us. Very special guest here in the studio with us this morning. He is no stranger to many around the state of Louisiana, and especially those of Southern University. Served as the SGA president, has been a state rep, has been a senator on the national stage. Cleo Fields, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Good. Should I just say Attorney Cleo? You know, I try to put respect.
Just Cleo.
Just Cleo.
Plain old Cleo.
Just plain old.
You know, I tell people all the time, I mean, that's the name that my mom and dad gave me, and that's what's going to be on my that's what's on my birth certificate, and that's what's going to be on my death certificate.
Just Cleo Fields.
That's right, and that's what's going to be on my tombstone. So plain old Cleo.
Let me ask you this. Let's jump right into it today, because what I want to do is inform people out there. Last week we had the mayor on, and, you know, a candidate that was running for mayor. But the political landscape, not just in the region, not just here locally, but nationally, right? There's a lot of moving components. There's a lot of things going on. And I want to inform people, just not to give them a way to go, but just to give them an idea of what to pay attention to. And let's start right here locally, and then we'll move regionally, but just locally in the Baton Rouge area with the political scene. What is it looking like right now, and what are some things that people should be paying attention to?
Well, you know, first of all, if a person is not registered to vote, they really need to register to vote, because you can't participate in a game if you're not registered to vote. So every person, there are a lot of students who are arriving from out of state this week and next week. They need to register to vote. Every student who's from Arkansas, California, when you get to Baton Rouge, Louisiana, be it Southern, LSU, you need to register to vote, because this is an important election. It's going to be a national election on November the 5th. And locally, as you know, there are a lot of very interesting races. You got the mayor's race, you got the city constable's race, you got a judicial race, you got a Supreme Court justice race. Obviously, you got Congress, and then most importantly, you're going to have the president on a national level.
You might have to yell for the people out there so they can hear you. You know, you're a soft-spoken man this morning, but I'm sure you'll be yelling when you get in there and you're making
Absolutely.
your point.
Yeah, but you will have, I mean, it's going to be, people will have a menu, and there's just no reason not to register to vote. That time is ticking. You got to do it 30 days before the primary, and so it's important that you take the time, go online, go to the Secretary of State's website, and register to vote online.
Let's look at when we start to talk about when we get out of the local election, right? And let's talk about what's just happening on the political scene. A new governor here in the state of Louisiana, right? A lot of legislation that's being pushed around and a lot of things that are happening right now. Give the people some insight right now as we have a new governor and some legislation that's out there. Just what's the landscape looking like for the state of Louisiana currently?
Well, obviously there's a new governor and a new legislature. The entire legislature and the governor's office is majority of the legislature rather is Republican, and the governor is obviously Republican. And so at the end of the day, you know, it's a lot of fighting that's taking place. There are a lot of laws that would change in reference to voter registration, for example. It is a little bit more difficult now for you to register to vote, but that should be an excuse. I mean, like the way we used to do it, you know, if you just grab some voter registration cards and go out there and register people to vote, you can't do that anymore. You got to register first with the Secretary of State in order to do voter registration. But you know, I tell people, you know, you can do it online, and you don't need anybody. You just, you know, every student probably has a cell phone.
Yeah, no doubt.
And every adult has a cell phone. So at the end of the day, just register to vote online. You know, the gun laws that was passed this past session, you know, is open carry. You know, hopefully that won't turn out as bad as many of us spoke to the issue from the microphone, because I'm a strong proponent of not having more guns in people's hands.
And with that, talk for people out there, when you're saying this open carry, what are the requirements to even purchase
before the passage of this legislation? You had to go and take a test. You had to go to a firearm, and you had to practice, and you had to be, you know, to some degree proficient in using a firearm. Now that requirement is gone. So if you own it legally, you can carry it. And I hope that does not, you know, increase the appetite for crime here in the state. But you know, that it's passed. It's now the law. We just got to hope for the best. We passed a lot of laws that many of us did not agree with. But to talk about some of the bright sides, we increased early childhood education, which is a big issue for me.
They're saying they can't hear you.
Oh, they can't hear me.
Yeah.
All right, talk louder.
Yeah, that's what they want. They say we can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, the people want to hear the news.
But we increased early childhood education, which is important, because at the end of the day, that's where the rubber meets the road. You got to put money in and resources into kids when they're young. Yeah, you know, pre-K, and then when they get to the third grade, you don't have to worry about them being proficient in reading and math. They are, if we invest the time and the resources in it. So a lot of things happened this past session of the legislature.
Let's do this. Let's take a break. When we'll come back, we'll continue to talk about this conversation, more about politics here locally, regionally, and as well as the national stage, giving you guys information just so you can hear what is the political landscape looking like, and for you to formulate and constructively criticize or critically think about where you want to go with it. And that's all we're doing, just providing information for you so you can then go about and make your, what they say, civil duty to vote.
Civil responsibility.
There you go. All right, let's get ready to take a break. We'll be back. More to Jaguar Journal.
It's On the Yard Sports, and I'm Perry White, and what I need for you to do is go follow and subscribe to our YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, as well as Twitter right now.
Talk about offense, we talk about Southern, and it begins with their passing game.
Tom, beyond potent, we're talking about high octane, we're talking about fast break, we're talking about 41 points a game, some 500 plus yards since Terrence Levy has taken over this offense.
Because that young man doesn't drop any ball.
With the legacy that you started here, you got to feel happy to see it continue on with Doug Williams.
Ball now back at the 22-yard line. Levy. No pressure at all. Touchdown, Ingram. The Bayou Classic. Levy on a first and goal play. Throws a touchdown. Grambling comes with a blitz. Levy steps in the pocket. And his pass is caught. One-handed grab.
Sort of in the middle of the road of the SWAC, but immediately they jump on the Jackson State defense. And here's Levy rolling out. And the pass is caught. Ball is at the 31-yard line. Again throwing the football downfield. Oh, and his receiver Hayes makes the catch. See you later. Touchdown, Southern. If you're going to get, I got some free tickets. Look out for it, brother. Going downfield. Oh, and what a play by Southern.
Score. He's played a lot tougher ever since. And this is a free play for Southern.
2nd and 15.
It's a free play.
Levy completes his
It's
pass.
a free play.
Oh, and he's still up.
It's a free play.
Hayes is going to continue running inside the 10, the 5. Unbelievable, Michael Hayes. Third down. And 23 for a first. Levy over the middle. Nice pass that time. 2nd and 20. Levy doesn't have to get it all, but he's going to have to pick up some yards. Here he is throwing. Nice catch made.
The receiver, Michael Hayes. There he goes.
Hayes makes the catch. Hayes still on his feet. Hayes looking for blocking. Hayes trying to find a hole. Hayes is still on his feet. He alley-oops. He's inside the 15 and drawn out a foul.
Touchdown.
The backfield. Plenty of time for Levy across the middle. Has his man at the 15. You know, I don't know if you want to break the spirit of Terrence Levy or not. Here he wings one wide open down the middle and a one-handed grab made.
The way. 3rd down and 4. And here's Lewis off the catch. Lewis still on his feet. And Lewis is streaking down the sideline. Touchdown. So they move back 5 yards. Levy on 3rd down. Looking down the sideline. Yes, sir. Big time play.
Guys stepping up like they're going to blitz. He really is going to start thinking.
All right, we're back. It is the Jaguar Journal. Good morning to everybody. I'm Perry White. Glad to have you guys with us this morning. Senator Cleo Fields joining me here in the studio. Good morning.
Good morning.
That's way better, right?
That's a lot better?
Yeah, we had to get him. We got him to the mic now.
Right.
So, as we're talking about politics and we're looking at the local and the regional, right? Just a quick synopsis as you was talking about, right? Big mayor's race in the city of Baton Rouge, right? For people to pay attention to, because what happens, a lot of people, when you talk about that voting, and I have conversations, especially with young people all the time, they miss out a lot on being a part of the election process when it comes locally, because they typically just look at the national stage, because that's what you see, right? The presidential election on all across the board, that what get everybody talking. But we often miss just the small elections, the ones that actually matter, right? A national election is, for the country. But what really affects your life is the people right there at home who you have to vote for.
Yeah, and they all matter. They all are important, and people need to pay attention, and people need to actually participate in this process. I mean, there's going to be all kinds of activity on the state, the local, and the national level as it relates to politics, and people need to heed to it, and people need to go. They need to register to vote, and they need to let their voice be heard. I remember when I was in Michigan back in 1984, campaigning with Reverend Jesse Jackson when he was running for president of the United States, and we were in this housing facility, and he was rallying. It was a big rally, and then after the rally, we had a little town hall kind of talk, sit and talk with the folk, and the folk were like, talking about all of the problems and not interested in voting. And we got back on the plane. I said, Rev, these people are so apathetic. How can they be? And he was like, no, they're not apathetic voters. They're uninspired voters.
Mm-hmm.
It is our responsibility to inspire them. And so I learned that lesson back in '84. It's the people who are running for office job to get out here and inspire. Folks. Some folk gonna vote no matter what.
Yeah.
They're gonna vote. But then there are others. That not so much. So you have to give them a reason to vote, and you have to connect that dot for them. And that's what all of the, not only the people running for office, but all of the ministers, all of the community leaders, the teachers, all of them need to help people connect that dot.
I started out in marine biology, right? When I started college, I was going to go be a scientist. I was going to study aquatic life and do these things, right? But during that time was a crucial election with Barack Obama, who ultimately won. This is when I first started college. That inspired that whole movement. It was like a grassroots movement, right? It inspired me to then want to become more informed and do more within my community, because beforehand, I just took my community for what it was, and I really wasn't paying attention. And for those, I grew up in Pine Bluff, Arkansas, a place that is, if you look it up, it's riddled with crime, one of the highest crime rates in the nation, no jobs. It is just a place that has gone down, down, down. And when I woke up and started to pay attention, I wanted to realize what was going on with my community. Why wasn't the opportunities here? What was going on politically that was obviously nobody was paying attention to the downward spiral? Was it hidden agendas? Was it people out for self? Was it just didn't care about the community, the young people of the community? So I changed my major to political science. I switched and transferred to Southern. And because of that, I opened my mind up to be involved in the world that's around me. And I realized how important that is. You know, why does my neighborhood, we don't have sidewalks. We had ditches. And the street lights wasn't, you know, I go on the other side of town. It's sidewalks, it's bike lanes. I mean, it's everything. But we do the same thing in my community. We riding bikes, we walking, you know, but we're in the street. You know, and it was just those things that I said, you know what, I need to be informed and I need to know what politics is like. I need to know the world of politics and understand what policy and all of those things. And that's what the great education at Southern University helped me. The Nelson Mandela School of Public Policy and Urban Affairs. I was able to go there and get this from some great professors. And now because of that, I'm thankful to have this opportunity with a radio show because I don't want to just waste it because we talk about sports all the time. People love the sports, but in the midst of sports, because election seasons typically fall amongst football season.
That's right, doing football.
And that's always the typical tough part of, can we get the people to go vote? Because it's homecoming this weekend. And, you know, we're going to have a conundrum. What are people going to choose?
But, the good thing about the process now versus back when I was at Southern, for example, you know, Election Day was one day.
Yeah.
I mean, it was on Election Day, and it was on a Saturday when there was a football game, and it was tough to get people out on that one day. But they got out. Now, you know, you have Election Day. You know, people are going to start receiving their early ballots. I mean, absentee ballots in the mail-in ballots shortly. And then you got 7 days before the election to actually vote. So there are literally no excuses for folk not to actually exercise that right, irrespective of who they vote for.
Yeah.
It just makes no sense now to miss the opportunity. You got more than 7 days. You got 7 days you can vote in person, and then you got, you know, if you requested an absentee ballot, a mail-in ballot, you know, you got until, you know, right before Election Day to turn it in. So every person should exercise. I mean, you know, if you don't like people, just vote against them.
Yeah.
I mean, but exercise that right to vote.
Let me ask you this, because you talked about inspired, right? Getting voters to be inspired. Now, let's move to the national stage, right? Kamala Harris, Donald Trump, regardless of whoever you pick out there, that's on you. Do you think voters are inspired when you look at the national stage right now, or those two running against each other?
I think so. I mean, I really do. I think so because I think, first of all, President Biden, who has served this country, in my view, well, who has done a great job as president, you know, he got to a point where the base of his party was just not inspired. And I think Kamala Harris just brings so much energy. I mean, you just look at her rallies.
Was it due to his age that you feel there was a disconnect?
Yeah, it was mainly.
Yeah.
And you know, President Biden has been serving for a long time. It's not just age, but you know, it was a number of things. It's hard being on that campaign trail.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's hard, you know, standing up night after night giving speeches. I mean, you
changing time zones.
Yeah, it's a job. It's a lot of work, you know. I know it. So at the end of the day, it was. I think it was appropriate that he, you know, handed the baton to his vice president, and now you can see the energy. You know, I mean, people, when she shows up, people show out.
Yeah.
And so I think it's going to be a great election, and you know. President Trump on the other side, you know, obviously he has had, you know, people to show up for his campaign rallies. Now you got two individuals where people are actually showing up. And I think people are going to go to the polls and they're going to vote in record numbers.
Yeah, because the last presidential election was huge when you look at the numbers. Both candidates broke records, right, in terms of the voter turnout. Now you look at the two vice presidents added to these two running candidates. What's a little bit about both of these vice presidents?
Well, I mean, Waltz. I mean, Tim. I mean, I just think the world of him. I think he has great energy. I think he's going to do very well.
Because they seem to the picture that they paint of him, that he's the common man, right? He does.
Former coach.
Yeah.
I mean, he got all the former military. I mean, he has all the trappings of what you would need in a vice presidential pick.
Mm-hmm.
Vince, same thing. I mean, they both have rhetoric, which is, every person running for office is going to have rhetoric. But at the end of the day, I think that's going to be an exciting piece to watch as well. The interesting thing, as I tell the students at the Louisiana Leadership Institute, the popular vote is one thing, and you can win the popular vote and then end up losing the presidency because the president is elected based on electoral college.
That's it.
So somebody got to get 270 votes. And that's what the big fight is about now. That's why you hear about, some of the states are, marginal states, and that's where, folk are, putting a lot of their attention. Some states are safe states, where, candidates or campaigns are saying we got this one. And so it's those marginal states that could go either way. Are going to be the states that most of the candidates are going to spend most of their time and resources in the next few weeks.
Let's get ready to take a break here. When we come back, we'll get ready to close things out with Senator Cleo Fields. That's the voice that you hear. We're talking Louisiana politics, national politics, just informing you, getting you ready for the election season so you can go ahead and, if you're not registered to vote, get yourself out there, register to vote, become a part of the electoral process, right? And be involved in your community, all right? That's what we want to let you know this morning. So you guys stay tuned. Hey, go use the bathroom. Grab your coffee, as Senator Fields came in talking about. Get your coffee and come on back. Turn the radio up. Turn the volume up as we continue the conversation. More of the Jaguar Journal.
It's On the Yard Sports, and I'm Perry White. And what I need for you to do is go follow and subscribe to our YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, as well as Twitter right now.
T.R. Ricks is a fifth-year senior who's getting his first chance to drive the train that Bob talked about. And right now, he's driving it quite well because the Southern Jaguars are kicking butt in the SWAC conference. As Bob mentioned, 6-0 overall in the SWAC, and T.R. Ricks has played so well, over 2,000 yards passing. In the last 3 games running the football, he's been over 100 yards on the ground. The respect factor that he gets from his teammates is incredible. As a fifth-year senior who's never started, they elected him captain. And the numbers he has put up are represented on your screen. 27 total touchdowns on the offense, a pass percentage of nearly 60%. He could be the SWAC Player of the Year on the offensive side.
And they're going to get a huge dose of the best offensive player in the SWAC, and that being Thomas Ricks.
Yeah, what Thomas Ricks has found a way to do is just beat defenses either with his arm, with his feet, or with his leadership capabilities, finding a way to win the games late with fourth quarter comebacks. He showed versatility and athleticism. He's a tremendous athlete that knows how to win, most importantly.
Really is a leader both on and off the field.
I just think it has come to a maturity level. I have a 4-year-old son, and, when he was born, I had to grow up fast and, just staying in school and practicing every day, trying to get better every day, just so he can have a better future. It's just been my inspiration. So, I just think that's my motor that drives me and, keeps me in the game.
His 4-year-old son, Collier, has not missed a game this season. They throw the football around in Rick's dorm room at Southern, and he says it's great playing football with Collier. 1st and 10. Ricks. He's got Vernon. Vernon makes the catch at the 45.
They can run the entire offense with all those guys in the game.
Ricks to Vernon. 1st down. Holmes in the backfield. Ricks. 1st down. Gage on the tackle, but not until Ricks picks up the 1st down. 2nd and 7. Ricks. Overstreet's got it. Across midfield. Ricks has a receiver downfield. It's caught for a touchdown. Territory. Ricks fakes the pitch. Gets inside the 15.
He's the type of young men
that represent his philosophy in life and in football.
Ricks in a shotgun. He's going to run it out to the 10, and 2nd and 11 after the holding penalty. Sidearm toss. And a nice catch. Ricks on the 1st and 10. Little draw play. Takes it outside. He's got the first down.
But Rick's going to take it up.
All right, we are back. It is the Jaguar Journal. Good morning to everybody. Glad to have you guys here with us. I'm Perry White. Have Senator Cleo Fields here in the studio with us today. Saw something interesting this week. I was over at Southern University. You came and spoke to the team, to the football team, man. For you, as we get ready for football season, what was that like for you to be able to give some words of encouragement to those young men?
Oh, it was a promising moment for me because, like I told them, just several years ago, I was sitting in the stands as a freshman class president and then student body president, and now to be on the field talking to them to kind of inspire them and motivate them to have a good season. It was a remarkable moment. I mean, and it brings back a whole bunch of memories. But it was a good thing, and I hope the students, actually come out and do what they need to do and have a good season. And like I told them, it's not all about winning. You got to just do your best. Do your best. Do your very, very best. And that's at anything, not just football. I couldn't give them a football story because I didn't play football, but I played baseball. And I was captain of my baseball team in high school. And I know what it feels like to do all that practicing and preparing. And we were excited for game day. And then when game day came, and if we won, it was just more jubilation. But if we lost, we felt kind of bad. Mm-hmm. So we put all this time in, and we lost this game. But Southern is going to do well. Those athletes looked good. I mean, they were practicing, 8 o'clock at night. I mean, they were going to like 10 or 11. I mean, that's commitment, and I'm impressed, and I think they'll do fine.
Let me ask you this before we get ready to close things out. You have been one, especially on your campaign trail, to dedicate time and energy and effort to the youth, young people, and I think that's all said with the Louisiana Leadership Institute. When you look at this generation of young people, and as I'm getting older, I think I'm falling into the realm of when my mom and parents was like, the disconnect, like, yeah, you think this and this and that. Now I'm looking at the younger generation. I'm kind of going along that way. Things change, you get older, but the world around you evolves. Do you think this is an uninspired generation of young people when it comes to just being aware of the world around them due to so many distractions of the phone, social media, and they're not as social as previous generations?
Yeah, look, it was a big transition for me. I mean, and I've just come to the conclusion we have to meet them where they are to get them where they need to be. And for example, I mean, we now have robotics. I mean, never in a million years I dreamed that leadership would be doing robotics, but we are. Yeah. We're doing aviation. I mean, which is a good thing. I mean, and like I tell you, we're about to install digital media, podcasts and all of that. I think we have to meet them where they are and take them where they need to be, because technology and all of that and their mindset is not going to change unless we get with them. And I'm a little fortunate because I had 2 boys in the house, and the way they did it was a little different from the way I did it when I was growing up. But a lot of things have changed. I mean, we didn't have this when I was growing up.
That thing is a distraction to the point where now you got to ban it out the schools.
Yeah. I was at Peabody High School on yesterday in Alexandria, and they got a little lock device where when a kid walks into school, they have to put it in this lock device, and they hold it until the end of the day. But some of this is good. I mean, it's good that a kid can get on the phone and be connected to the whole world around them. It's good that they can see AI as it develops in real time. But at the end of the day, they just cannot get away from the basics. And as long as we keep instilling the basics, they're going to be fine. There were things that I couldn't dream of doing that my two boys were able to do, as relates to technology,
And I think one of the things that has to be taught is how to be social again. Just the walking in and saying, good morning, how are you?
No, I agree with you.
Instead of just, hey, I need help. Oh, good morning, how are you doing? Can you help me? Or, it's the basics because everything's so quick. The text is quick, it's short, it's direct, it's straight to the point. And that rolls over into the world of communicating with one another. It's short, it's direct. It misses the part of how you doing, the hospitality. That goes a long way. And that's the other part. I just think the social communicating skills, even when you talk about as simple as how to prepare for job interviews, how to give presentations in classes. I used to look forward to that. That was my best attribute. A presentation, oh, man, that's what I just standing before a class and to give a speech. Ultimately, I guess that's how I got the radio, huh? But
probably.
I could have been a politician, maybe.
Yeah, you are a politician,
vote
man.
for Perry White, but nonetheless, I just think that's one of the aspects that really has to be worked on again with young people. Communicating to the world, everything, not a phone call and a text, but being in front of somebody and be able to have that communication skill with someone in front of you.
Yeah. No, I agree. And the basics, we have to teach the basics.
Yes, sir. No, sir. Yes, ma'am. No, ma'am.
Yep. Even things as simple as the handshake.
Yeah. Affirm, look you
know.
Yeah.
The eye contact. Those, tie and a tie.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, those are the kind of things that we constantly.
You saying tie and a tie, just dressing appropriately.
Yeah.
It's rough these days, boy.
I have some good kids though. These kids,
yeah,
they're great kids, and they inspire me every Saturday. I'm going over there in a few minutes. That's where I get people say, what's your hobby? My hobby is seeing these kids excel, and forget about it.
Yeah.
You do your part and you put them on the stage, and then you go on and you get another group. And it's so exciting when you go places and now grown men and women walk up to you and say, hey, I was in leadership. You remember me.
Mm-hmm.
And they're now doctors and lawyers and engineers and computer scientists. I mean, that makes me feel good. That means that all of that hard work we've put in didn't go in vain. I mean, I just think we got a very good group of, we have to spend time with them.
That's it. You'll learn a lot from a child and young people if you spend time with them.
And let me give leadership a shout out. If today, 10 o'clock, you come to the Louisiana Leadership Institute and join the Louisiana Leadership Institute. It's all free of charge. It's a great program. And you didn't talk about my band, man. The leadership band.
It speaks for itself because, let me tell you, Mike, how long do we have? Couple minutes. All right. Listen, before I even moved here, the whole world of all-star bands, right? And this YouTube was taking off. Yeah. And I've always been one of bands because what I will say about band, besides from the notes that's being played, band provides opportunities to young people to get scholarships, to go to college, to be able to become professional musicians. It interacts you. It's the social skills, being around a room full of different people. That's why I support band. It ain't always for me about the music, but it's the opportunities that it presents to people out of neighborhoods, because sports ain't for everybody, right?
Right.
But you can be in band, play an instrument, and then just like anything else, like a student athlete, a band student, you still can go excel. It just gave you that opportunity to take that jump to go where you needed to go.
Right.
And wherever you go, PWI, HBCU, whatever the case, it gives you an opportunity. Plus, bands travel. You get to see places. So here we go about Louisiana Leadership Institute.
No, you speaking of traveling, I mean, the leadership band, I think it was last week, they just marched in Disney World.
Yeah.
Magic Kingdom. I mean, look, bands are great opportunities for kids.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of them to come together and learn, be on one page, one sheet of music, and it's amazing. They're going to participate now in the parade. They tell me, I was talking to the principal at Peabody, He said, our homecoming parade is bigger than Southern's homecoming parade. I said, all right.
And
all
you know,
right.
we got Alexandria. That's one of our affiliates. So
Yeah,
y'all
man, I
don't make
said,
me
all right.
laugh, Alexandria, okay?
Yeah, but I will be there. We got to take the entire band there. But look, I like putting those kids on a big stage. They're incredible. They do well. It's a lot of professors at Southern who actually teach and train them.
Yeah.
So when they graduate, it's just automatic. You know, they can march in the Southern's band because they've marched under Southern tutorship, you know, for the past 4 years.
Yeah, you started that and you incorporated Southern working along because it's like, hey, you might as well have the best.
Yeah.
Real quick, got about 30 seconds. How did you even make that happen with that communication with Southern and ultimately them buying into that? And it's been going on year in and year out.
Well, I mean, you know how I feel about Southern's band. And at the end of the day, there was a group of, actually the band didn't start. It wasn't my idea. It was a group of students and some high school band directors. They had developed a high school marching all-star band, and the local school district would not allow them to use the instruments to go and play in Houston at a Martin Luther King parade. And I talked to the superintendent, got him the instruments, and then I said, listen, if y'all come under Louisiana umbrella, you won't ever have to worry about instruments. You won't have to ever worry about transportation. You won't have to ever worry about anything but teaching these kids. And I got Southern involved, and that's what happened.
Well, Senator Cleo Fields, I want to thank you for coming into the studio this morning, having this conversation. You guys get out to vote. We're about to get ready to get to the top of the hour. When we come back on the side, we're going to talk some Louisiana FCS football. So you guys stay tuned. We'll be back. More of the Jaguar Journal.
Southern was a little late to the game of football. They had started earlier in the CIAA up at Hampton and those schools up there. And when J.S. Clark became president of Southern University in 1914, he had already visited the Tuskegee and these Howard and the other schools, and they had a football program. And he wanted to compete with them, not just in the classroom, but also on the football field. So it started as an intramural. We had intramurals when we first came in 1914 through 1916-17, and then the intramural program evolved into the varsity, into the football program in 1918. Coach Big Charlie Holmes from Colorado State, he came here as an assistant coach, but he took over around 1922, 1923, and he did very well through the early 20s. But he came up to 26. He broke even. He was expected to do well, and 27. I don't find any records where he won any games there, and he was replaced. But the person he was replaced by was a legendary. Name is Bryce Union Taylor from the University of Southern California. Out there, he had been an All-American. He was the guy that stopped the four horsemen of Notre Dame. And then he went to Chaffin University in South Carolina at 27. In 1928, he became the head football coach at Southern University and athletic director. And he really put Southern on the map. He had a lot of firsts. First of all, he had the first All-Americans we had came under him. Therefore, he had the greatest winning percentage in Southern University. He won 85% of his game here. And he had our first undefeated season in 1931 when he was 7-0, but he was not declared national champ, but he was considered for that. But he was our first great coach during that early period, Bryce Union Taylor. We don't want to forget him. Arnett W. Mumford, he's a national icon in coaching. He had coached 10 years in Texas, Jarvis Christians, Bishop, and Texas College. But the last 5 or 6 years at Texas College, he was very, very outstanding. He won 2 SWAC titles, and he had won a national black championship at Texas College and 35. So therefore, Southern was interested in getting him here, and Dr. Felton Clark was very instrumental, the person to get him here. But his impact it goes.
All right, good morning, everybody. We are back. It is the Jaguar Journal. I hope you guys have enjoyed the first hour. We're talking a little Louisiana politics, national politics. Want to inform you guys, get you prepared for the upcoming election season because guess what? It is that you have to get out and vote, become a part of your local and your national politics. Understand the world that is around you. Make changes to the world that's around you. If you are not happy with what the future look like for your kids, what it's going to look like for you. So just want to make sure that you guys thank Senator Cleo Fields for stopping in today and just having this conversation. Listen, I'm not steering you in any direction. Go wherever you want to go when it comes to voting. That is your constitutional right. I just want to make sure that you are aware of what you are voting for and what to vote for and what you feel is best for your community. And at the end of the day, that's all that matters. However you vote, that's you. I'm not going to fight you because everybody has their right to go wherever direction that you want to go. Just be a part of it and do your part and get out and vote. All right, as we keep things going this morning, got a very special guest here on the Jaguar Journal. We're going to talk some Louisiana FCS football because guess what? Not only is Southern part of the FCS landscape in Louisiana, but Louisiana has many other schools, right? And 3 of those other FCS schools will fall on Southern's schedule this year, and we're going to talk about them. So we want to welcome to the Jaguar Journal my boy Blue, Zach McKinnell. Zach, good morning.
Good morning, man. I am glad to be on here. You know, I'm always going to make time for you, man.
I appreciate you, and good morning to everybody that's listening out there on the radio waves, Talk 107.3, right here in the capital city, Baton Rouge area, as well as over in Alexandria, New Orleans, and everybody watching us live on our YouTube and Facebook. Good to have you guys with us, guys. Zach, now, you know, my boy Scotty called you Blue. What you want me to call you this morning? What name would you like?
Man, hey, I'm used to Blue, man, so you can call me Blue.
All right, Blue. You're my boy, Blue. All right, Blue, let's jump right into it, right? Southern University, more in particular, the reason why we're going to go down this route. Louisiana has a plethora of FCS schools, Northwestern State, Grambling, Southeastern, Nicholls, McNeese, Southern, right? The bedding of the SWAC and the Southland Conference background right here in the state of Louisiana. Southern University, because we're right here, is going to have 3 of those programs, Grambling, McNeese, as well as Nicholls. Grambling going to be down in New Orleans at the Bayou Classic. McNeese is going to be over in Lake Charles, and Nicholls will be coming to Baton Rouge. So let's start at the top of the list, Zach, because you are our FCS aficionado, right? You know about this level more than a lot of people, probably anybody else I know, because you don't just study the HBCU, the SWAC, and the MEAC. You are all around from East Coast to West Coast to North to South in terms of this landscape. Let's start with McNeese. And as we scout McNeese for our fans that is listening, what is McNeese looking like this year offensively and defensively?
I think McNeese is probably one of the more interesting teams in the entire country. You look at a team last year, won 1 game, and I think it might have been the forfeit game against Northwestern State as well. So, I mean, they were just bad last year, man. Defensively, even though they have All-American linebacker Micah Davey coming back, they were just bad defensively, and they had to reload. Perry, they brought in 57 transfers, 20 from the FBS, which I believe is like number 1 or number 2 in the entire country in terms of FBS transfers. And they also added some new faces to the coaching staff. They brought in Josh Brown as the co-defensive coordinator from UTEP, brought in a new wide receivers coach from South Alabama. And I think the big thing with McNeese is it's going to be a test because, Terry, I know, me, you, Scotty, everyone in this space talks about it. It's still kind of a wait-and-see approach on, at the FCS level, can you hit the portal and bring in a bunch of guys and have them gel immediately and have a lot of year-one success? Because I think when you look at the quarterback position, it's definitely an upgrade. You go and get a guy in Clifton McDowell who had an interesting all-season, transferred from Montana after leading them to the national championship game, went to Temple, left there, reportedly committed to PV, and then the night that his commitment leaked for PV, he winds up committing to McNeese. He's going to be a massive upgrade. And you look at what they brought in at running back. I think their running back is going to be...
Blue, let me break this. Southern did offer this kid. At one time, he was committed to come to Southern, coming from UCA, before he ended up at Montana. So this is a guy that was on Southern's recruiting radar over now at McNeese, is going to be their starting quarterback, and was a leader of his team in the FCS National Championship last year. So I just want to make sure that for our listeners, this is a guy who is familiar with this program.
Yeah, very. I mean, I think that was interesting because I kind of forgot that he did commit to Southern, ended up switching his commitment to Montana. And then also, too, you got to remember, he was at the JUCO ranks, too. So this is a kid that's played at like 8 different schools over the past 3 or 4 years. But then in running back, you bring in a former 4-star kid, Trevante Citizen out of Miami. You had level. They returned 3 really good backs that they had from last year. So I think the strength is going to be in the rushing attack. It's just they brought in so many transfers. But defensively, I'll say this. They returned 9 starters, but I would imagine that they're probably only going to start about 3 or 4 guys from last year's defense. Because, Perry, as much as returning talent is important, and, we look at returning starters, returning production, is it good to return a lot of starters from a bad defense? I think it's debatable because I think they upgraded in a lot of key positions. They bring in a guy, Tristan Driggers from ULM, who was a guy who played at ULM, went to the JUCO level, had a big-time year. They're going to play him at linebacker, but he played safety at JUCO, so he has the athleticism to do a lot of different things. They add Marquez White out of Dartmouth, who was a 2-time all-conference selection at Dartmouth, coming off an injury, was limited to 4 games last year. And then they added a whole bunch of FCS guys along the defensive line, which was a massive, I would say, area that they needed to improve on. But that defense starts and ends with a guy named Micah Davey. And, Harry, I can't wait for you to see this kid live. I think he's arguably the most athletic linebacker at the FCS level. I mean, last year as a true sophomore, he had 153 total tackles in like 10 games, which is unheard of. And he had 20 or more tackles in 2 straight games last year as well. He was a freshman All-American 2 years ago, was an FCS All-American last year. He's got a chance to 3-peat this year. So I think it's going to be very, very interesting to see how McNeese retools that defense. If their defense can take a step forward, I do think they have the offensive talent to be a lot better than they were last year.
Yeah, McNeese, and we all know, has been a perennial power, not as of today, but as of late, was a perennial power on the FCS level. Only one SWAC school has been able to defeat them, and that was Alcorn State under Fred McNair. They have had plenty of success against the SWAC. McNeese has always traditionally seemed to be a very tough out. It is a program that will bring it to you, as they say. And, I'll be curious to see, can Southern get over the hump? Southern was close last time they went to Lake Charles. McNeese came here, a game in which Southern had in the first half but gave it away in the second half. And now you look at both programs. McNeese has changed coaches over the years. Where does this thing go now from here? I'll be interested. Mike, are we good with the sound? Do we need to take a break and try to get things together? Or? Well, let's do this. Let's take a break and let's try to get things because we're going to keep dealing with the feedback. So, hey, y'all stay tuned. We'll be back. Let's try to fix this, the feedback, and we'll be back more to Jaguar Journal.
It's On the Yard Sports, and I'm Perry White, and what I need for you to do is go follow and subscribe to our YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, as well as Twitter right now.
Talk about offense, we talk about Southern, and it begins with their passing game.
Tom, beyond potent, we're talking about high octane, we're talking about fast break, we're talking about 41 points a game, some 500-plus yards since Terrence Levy has taken over this offense.
Because that young man doesn't drop any ball.
With the legacy that you started here, you got to feel happy to see it continue on with Doug Williams.
Ball now back at the 22-yard line. Levy, no pressure at all. Touchdown, Ingram. The Bayou Classic. Levy on a 1st and goal play. Throws a touchdown. Grambling comes with a blitz. Levy steps in the pocket. And his pass is caught. One-handed grab.
Sort of in the middle of the road of the SWAC, but immediately they jump on the Jackson State defense. And here's Levy rolling out. And the pass is caught. Ball is at the 31-yard line. Again throwing the football downfield. Oh, and his receiver Hayes makes the catch. See you later. Touchdown, Southern. If you're going to get, I got some free tickets. Look out for it, brother. Going downfield. Oh, and what a play by Southern.
Score. He's played a lot tougher ever since. And this is a free play for Southern.
2nd and 15.
It's a free play.
Levy completes his
pass.
It's a free play.
Oh,
and he's still up.
It's a free play.
Hayes Hayes is going to continue running inside the 10, the 5. Unbelievable, Michael Hayes. Third down. And 23 for a first. Levy over the middle. Nice pass that time. 2nd and 20. Levy doesn't have to get it all, but he's going to have to pick up some yards. Here he is throwing. Nice catch made.
Receiver, Michael Hayes. There he goes.
Hayes makes the catch. Hayes still on his feet. Hayes looking for blocking. Hayes trying to find a hole. Hayes is still on his feet. He alley-oops. He's inside the 15 and drawn out a foul.
Touchdown.
The backfield. Plenty of time for Levy across the middle. Has his man at the 15. You know, I don't know if you want to break the spirit of Terrence Levy or not. Here he wings one wide open down the middle and a one-handed grab made.
The way. 3rd down and 4. And here's Lewis off the catch. Lewis still on his feet, and Lewis is streaking down the sideline. Touchdown. So they move back 5 yards. Levy on 3rd down. Looking down the sideline. Yes, sir. Big time player.
Guys stepping up like they're going to blitz. He really is going to start thinking.
Levy pump and go. Levy finds his receiver, Devin Lewis.
Good experience, a receiver experience for Hines.
How great is it to have a quarterback coach? Tipped ball is caught by Hayes. Michael Hayes has the speed. Hayes to the 10. Touchdown.
It's 2 poor passes today.
3rd and 4. Here is Guyen with the reception and the first down. Shakes one tackler. Still going inside the 30. Guyen to the 10 and dragged out of bounds. Down at the 15 for Southern. Terrence Levy wings it down the sideline for Hayes. Racehorse offense. Ian showing its versatility. Pressure on Ingram as Levy just hung it up with the blitz coming, and Ingram uncovered.
What's going on, everybody? I am Perry White. I'm the host of the... All right, we are back. It is the Jaguar Journal. Good morning to everybody out there listening around the capital city area on 107.3. Good to have you guys with us, our affiliates up in Alexandria, Louisiana. Everybody listening and watching all across the world on our YouTube Live, as well as Facebook. Good to have you guys with us. I am Perry White. We got my boy Blue Zach on the line. Still, we're talking FCS football. We just got done talking about McNeese as we scout. Zach, let's look at Nicholls State, a perennial power over in the Southland Conference. They have had some success, and a lot of their success come from the recruiting landscape that they have. They recruit the river parishes and down in New Orleans, and they have found success developing guys and building a program that has become a real power in the Southland, and they are on Southern schedule. Let's look at this program and let's talk about them a little bit.
Man, I think this team has a chance to be really, really special again, Terry. I mean, they returned 18 starters from a team that went undefeated in conference play last year, went to the FCS playoffs, and it really starts with 2 things. I think their rushing attack, where you got guys like Kyle Guggenheim coming back, you've got Jalen Spears, an FCS All-American All-Purpose selection coming back. And when I look at both of those guys, they combined for over 1,500 rushing yards. Jalen Spears is the 2nd leading receiver, averaging like 16 yards per catch, and can do it on special teams. And they have an offensive line that returns like 4 or 5 starters, man. And I don't think people talk about that enough. Is, man, offensive line with the chemistry and everything, that's huge. You got a guy in Evan Roussel at center who I think he started like 40, 50 career games, and FCS All-American, 3 or 4 time Southland selection. I think this team could be really good. And the other thing was their defense was really, really good last year. They ranked 2nd in the Southland last year in total defense. They led the Southland in rushing defense, and they ranked 8th in the country last year in turnovers, led by Tyler Morton at safety. FCS All-American had 4 of the 16 interceptions that secondary had. They are really a hit-or-miss type of defense. Well, they'll allow some yards, but they'll also create some big plays in terms of turnovers, big plays for loss, things like that. I think that head coach Tim Rebo, man, has probably his most experienced team that he's had in a long time. Yeah, and you look at this program, they may be, by the time Southern takes them on in A.W. Mumford Stadium,
may be a ranked opponent by that point in the schedule. What are they ranked currently in the FCS preseason poll?
So they were ranked in mine. Like my ballot, I had them at 25. I want to say that they were just outside the top. No, they're ranked 23rd in the FCS Stats Perform poll. So they were 23rd. They were 25th in my poll. I think there's a lot of people that are pretty high on Nicholls this year.
Yeah, when you look at them and just the consistency of a program that they have been, I love the way that they recruit in the area that they recruit out of. They are a Louisiana team when you start to look at that roster. So when you look at McNeese and you look at Nicholls, both Southland Conference teams are going to be tough opponents for Southern University. But this is the type of scheduling I like, Blue. When you schedule the teams, and guess what? These are the same teams that you're recruiting against these days. These are the teams you have to go out and beat them. And when you look at being in the state that shares two conferences, the SWAC and the Southland, you have to go out and get those victories over those Southland teams if you are the SWAC. Now let's jump over to the SWAC and let's talk about the third FCS team that's going to be on Southern University's schedule, and it's going to be the last game of the regular season. It's going to be down in the Bayou Classic. It's going to be Grambling State, right? Coach Mickey Joseph comes in, takes over that program. You look at offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator, right? Two former Southern head coaches. You got Eric Dooley, who was dismissed last year as Southern University's head football coach. I think we all saw how that went. And then you got Jason Rollins taking over the defensive side for you. When you look at that program, what do you see with first-year head coach Mickey Joseph coming in and trying to turn things around?
I see a lot of question marks, Barry. You look at all the talent they lost last year, especially along the offensive line and at the running back position. I think you have 4 or 5 guys who are now playing at either Power 5 or top G5 schools from those positions, and you lose Lyndon Rash to graduation as well. I think wide receiver is going to be pretty deep for them. They got 3 or 4 returners that played significant roles last year that I think could take a step forward in Mickey Joe. I'm going to call it Mickey Joseph's offense for right now. And then also, too, we talk about returning quarterbacks being so important on who you project to win the conferences, win the division. I think Miles Crawley, was preseason SWAC Offensive Player of the Year. We can have a debate whether he's the best quarterback in the SWAC, but he's definitely the most experienced quarterback coming back, especially when you take into account last year. I think Miles had a really, really good year last year. There was a whole situation with the play calling midway through the season. When you look at all the games before you get to Alcorn, Tony Hall was developing Miles into I think he had a great chance to take home the SWAC Offensive Player of the Year. And Grambling was falling offensively. Then there was a change in play calling, and I think Miles' play suffered because of that. The one question I have offensively for them is when I think in my head on how I would build a quarterback that fit Dooley's system, I don't know if it looks like Miles Crawley. And that's what I'm going to be interested in, is if Dooley can adjust his scheme, if Mickey Joseph can work with Dooley to find a scheme that is, I guess, tailored for Miles Crawley's skill set, because he's not a guy who's going to get out of the pocket and move with his feet, which is typically what Dooley wants in a quarterback. Now, defensively, I do think they have some solid guys coming back that played, okay roles, like a Kevin Thomas at safety, some guys at D-tackle like Jacoby Scott. But when I look at this Grambling team, man, they're going to have to do kind of the same thing I talked about with McNeese is you really got to hope some of these transfers hit. Now, I do think they landed some guys that played pretty significant roles on their team. I'll look at like a Chris Simmons from PV at wide receiver, a Calvin Henderson at safety from Texas Southern. But two of the guys I would say that I'm really excited to see play in the SWAC, Markel Linzer from Southeastern Louisiana, a cornerback, has been a 2 or 3 year contributor for the Lions over there. And then also an all-conference offensive lineman from Charleston Southern named Darius Meeks has played over 1,500 career snaps over at Charleston Southern, was an all-conference guy, one of my favorite offensive linemen to watch. I think he has a chance to make a run at first team all SWAC next year.
Let me ask you this as we wrap up FCS talk and we get ready to close things out. The state of Louisiana, as I talked about, have all these FCS teams. In your opinion, who's the best FCS football program in the state of Louisiana?
Going into next year, it has to be Nicholls. I think they're the defending Southland champs. They're the preseason favorite as well. Now, Southeastern Louisiana can make a run for it because that program has been really good under Selfo. They just took a massive step back last year. They had a lot of problems. So I wouldn't be surprised if they took a step back into relevancy. But if I had to put a bet on it right now, who's going to be the best team in Louisiana right now, it's Nicholls, just because of the consistency, man. Like you said, I mean, they might have had one or two down years, but they've been consistently winning conference championships, consistently making appearances in the FCS playoffs, and I think they're probably the most experienced and well-balanced team in the state of Louisiana right now.
Let's look at the SWAC landscape, right? The SWAC preseason division, right? Alabama State picked over on the east. Alcorn picked over at the west. You look at Eddie Robinson Jr. taking over in his third year at Alabama State. You look over on this side, Cedric Thomas taking over finally at Alcorn State, formerly of UAPB. You look at those standings for you, and what I have to ask, fam, you took it over, won the Celebration Bowl, Black College National Championship last year. Coach Willie Simmons has since moved on to Duke to become a running backs coach. James Cozy has come in to take over this program. Just on the FCS aspect, do you think any one of these teams this year, especially with so many new coaches around the league, can crack into the FCS top 25 from the SWAC?
I think so. I mean, you look at the preseason poll, FAMU and Alabama State received votes in the FCS Stats Perform preseason poll. Now, North Carolina Central, if you want to send to a MEAC, was also in there. I think they probably have the best shot out of the MEAC. But out of the SWAC, I think Jackson has a schedule set up to kind of make a run this year, Perry. I'm really, really high on Jackson State this year. I've been very vocal about that. I think anything under 9 wins for Jackson State this year is a disappointment with how their schedule sets up. And I think they have a very winnable game against ULM week 1. I think that's probably a top 3 chance for the FCS to knock off a FBS opponent. And if they win that game, they get Lane the next week. And then you got those 2 tough games against Southern and Grambling. But then you start rolling off Texas Southern is probably a win, Alabama A&M, but then Cookman, UAPB, Valley. I think they got a chance to win at least 9-10 games if everything worked out for them, at least 8 or 9. So I think Jackson could slide in there. Bama State, if they live up to the hype, maybe. But I think those are the 2. I think FAM would probably have to get to 9 wins. And, you know, it's tough for them because, Harry, here's why I don't think it's FAM. They got to play Troy, and they got to play, I think it's Miami, early in the season. There's going to be 2 losses on their resume super, super early. I don't know how much a win over South Carolina State or Norfolk is going to help them in the polls. So I think FAM's going to have a longer way to go after those 2 losses. So I think it would be Jackson or Bama State would have the best chance.
And, yeah, you're talking about the MEAC. North Carolina Central has gone out, and they have gotten victories against non-conference opponents. I think last year, when you look at Howard, you look at Morgan State, right? These are 2 teams. And in the MEAC, because you only have so few conference games that typically start around that Halloween. I always say they start conference at Halloween, but they go out and they schedule tough non-conference FCS, and they play those lower level group of 5, group of 4 FBS teams. But overall, when you look at them, they go out and they compete, right? I was impressed with Morgan State last year. I was impressed with Howard in their non-conference. And then North Carolina Central and what they're able to do to go out and get those victories, and even add in North Carolina Central, all of those schools in South Carolina State, that conference as a whole, when you look at non-conference against FCS, non-HBCU programs, they go out and compete hard. And then let's factor in North Carolina A&T, Hampton, and Tennessee State. Tennessee State, another one who found a little success last year, but overall, you just look at the level of competition. I know the SWAC tries to stay within playing, added more SWAC games, especially that are non-conference SWAC games. But, man, those non-conference schedules of those outside of the SWAC HBCU teams, man, are typically tough.
Yeah, very. And I think that's something that, you know, is the big thing. I don't think people would make as big of a deal about the SWAC on the conference schedule is if the SWAC won those chances they had. Does that make sense, Perry? So
yeah, it makes total sense. It's the respect factor, because I always say, right, I understand when a Southern and Alabama A&M play, or Alabama State and UAPB play, right? We've seen those battles more and more, the wins, the losses. But, hey, what riles me up if Southern goes out and beats the Nicholls, who you just said is the best FCS program team in the state of Louisiana, will probably be a top 25 ranked team coming into Baton Rouge. How do you defend your home turf and then get that victory over a team who everybody thinks is going to beat you in the first place?
Exactly. I mean, think about this, because Campbell wasn't even ranked. How big of a win was that for Jackson?
Huge.
At home over Campbell. That's a massive win. Also, think about how bad McNeese was the past 2 years. When Alcorn beat them, that was an amazing win for the SWAC because they've never beaten McNeese before.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's the big thing is when you look at the MEAC, I mean, North Carolina Central has beaten a ranked New Hampshire team, an Elon team that ended up finishing in the top 25. Morgan beats Richmond. Howard's competed out of conference well. South Carolina State's done okay out of conference. But, I mean, I think Central and Morgan, they got a chance to make some waves, man. I think Central this year has the best chance to make a run to the playoffs if they don't win the MEAC again, because they have that game against Elon. They have that game even against an Alabama State in the Orange Blossom Classic, and they got a game against Campbell next year. So they got some CAA matchups that is super interesting. I just think for the SWAC, the key is winning those games. I think PV has the best chance to kind of put all in for the SWAC next year. Also Southern with Nicholls and McNeese. But, man, if PV can knock off like an Incarnate Word next year or something like that, that would be a signature win for the SWAC out of conference, and it would help go a long way with establishing the SWAC's respect in the top 25, because if you don't play a lot of out-of-conference games, voters are going to be skeptical. And if you lose the few games you do play out-of-conference, the voters are going to be very unlikely to give you the benefit of the doubt.
Blue, tell the people where they can find you, man, and keep up with you.
Man, you can find me writing on FCS Football Central on SI. You can find me on the Blue Bloods on YouTube, all podcast streaming platforms, social media at the _ Blue Bloods, and then just at Zach McKinnell, man. Perry, always great to chop in about FCS football, HBCU football, man, and I'm looking forward to hopping back on here, man, whenever you invite me.
Oh, yeah, no doubt about it, because, you know, I try to give people the landscape, man. As much as I love HBCU football between the SWAC and the MEAC, man, I pay attention to all of these other conferences, right? I'm looking at what a University of Central Arkansas is doing. I'm watching what a Southern Illinois is doing, Youngstown State, Sacramento State, right? Incarnate Word, who Cameron Ward, if a lot of people don't know, who's down over in Florida now, quarterback and was up at Washington State. He started right there in the FCS level at Incarnate Word. But, you know, just looking around at all of these landscapes, man, I'm always curious to see what is happening on the FCS level, man. And that's why I enjoy having this conversation with you. And better believe I'll have you back and we'll talk more about this to give people some insight about the landscape of FCS as a whole.
Absolutely, Perry, man. We all have a great one, man.
All right, man. Thank you, Blue. All right, let's get ready to take a break. We come back on the other side. We're going to talk some. I know that's what y'all was waiting on. I stalled y'all out, but we're going to talk Southern. My boy Kevin Baptiste from WAFB coming over to talk to us about Southern University and how fall camp is going. So you guys stay tuned. We'll be back more to Jaguar Journal.
It's On the Yard Sports, and I'm Perry White, and what I need for you to do is go follow and subscribe to our YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, as well as Twitter right now.
For the first time in the 79-year history of the Southwestern Athletic Conference Elite Championship game determines the overall champion. Today, live from Legion Field in Birmingham, Alabama, it's the champions of the East, Jackson State, taking on Southern, the champs from the West. Hello, everybody. George Johnson along with Charles Mann. And I got to tell you, a great poet once said this is the way it's supposed to be. And it is. Number 11 Southern taking on number 15 Jackson State. Both programs have won 3 SWAC titles over the decade. So it's only fitting in the first SWAC championship game we determine the program of the decade. We've got a lot of offense out on the field. And yet this guy right here, he's going to tell you this game's all about D.
It's always all about D, George. You know that. It's always all about D.
An all-pro defensive end is going to tell you that. When you think about Jackson State, this is a team that is very potent offensively, but defensively they've led the SWAC throughout most of the year, and they've got the best player in defense in the SWAC, and that's Tommy Head.
Tommy Head. Get used to saying that name. You'll say it all day. He'll be all over the field. He's always around the football. He's the leading tackler on this team. He also has 5.5 sacks.
At one point this year, Southern led the nation in scoring defense. Then they ran into Florida A&M. They've got a lot of guys out there that can get it done, but at the top of the list is DeMarcus Miller.
DeMarcus Miller, the linebacker coach, Terrence Graves, told me there's one word to describe this kid, and that is relentless. He's only 5'10", 285 pounds. He makes a lot of plays, though.
Relentless, appropriate word for our third member of the broadcast team, and that's Joe Clare, who's standing by down on the sideline. Joe? Yes, indeed. I'm down here on the field capturing all the pageantry and revelry that is black college football. Birmingham, Alabama is a lovely city. This is the inaugural SWAC championship in their city, so they came out to have a good time. I will be covering the bands, the cheerleaders, shout-outs, all of that kind of stuff. Back to you guys up top. All right, thank you very much, Joe. You know, earlier this year, Southern beat Jackson State, the 4th straight win over the Tigers. But what's most impressive about Southern, they haven't lost a conference game in 25 outings. They put it on the line against Jackson State. We look at the starting lineups brought to you by Western Union Money Transfer, the fastest way to send money worldwide. You saw the backs. Here's your offensive line. Damon Nivens is a first-team All-SWAC member. Defensively, there's your starting lineups for Jackson State's defense. Chandler, Tommy Head, Edward Reese, pretty good middle linebacker. Rashard Anderson is a professional prospect, and they say he will be in the NFL next year. It is your starting lineup, brought to you by Western Union. Mark Washington is your quarterback. Destry Wright, the all-time leading rusher in school history, is the tailback. Jeremiah Thomas.
All right, we are back. It is the Jaguar Journal. Good morning to everybody out there. Hope you guys are enjoying the show this morning. Good to have you with us. Everybody in the Baton Rouge capital city area, listen on Talk 107.3. Good to have you with us. Our affiliates up in Alexandria, New Orleans, and all the way around. Even if you're watching just simply on our YouTube and Facebook, guess what? We appreciate it. And go hit that subscribe button right on our YouTube channel and hit that follow button on our Facebook. We would love to have you keep up with us, get a live notification every time we're on, and as well as go back any archive of any of our previous content and videos so you can go back. I know a lot of times we're up early. People say, man, I just got in at 8:30. Did they speak about? Yes, we did. You just missed it, but it's okay because you can go back and rewatch it and share it and everything else. So thank Blue coming on this morning. Senator Cleo Fields talking to us about politics. And now we got a very special guest here in the studio because if you're in Baton Rouge and you watch sports, you have seen this guy's face all over your television because guess what? You watch the news, and he is Kevin Baptiste from WAFB. Good morning.
Good morning, Perry.
How you doing?
I'm doing good. You mentioned the 8:30 thing. I'll let you know I'm not much of a morning person.
Well, I'm glad to have you with you because you're on the back end of the day, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we don't really get going until about 2 o'clock.
Uh-huh.
And me waking up at 8:30 is one thing, but on a Saturday, that's another. But for you.
You know what? I appreciate that, brother.
For you, and to talk Southern University and football, like, I can make this happen.
You know, and I get this from everybody because Senator Fields came in like, hey, where the coffee at? And I'm like, you know, hey, we just got energy in the morning. You got to have that energy bright and early on a Saturday, but I appreciate you coming in. And then we talked about it. It's your first time on the Journal. I don't even know how this has not happened, but guess what? It's happening. And I'm glad to have you on. And let's talk about Southern University, right? Southern University Fall Football Camp is underway. We're heading into week 2 coming up this week. And for you were there day one where Coach Terrence Graves came out and spoke with the media. What did you get from Coach Graves in his first fall practice?
Well, the first thing that Coach Graves really said he wanted to hit on with this team is obviously the discipline, the aspect last year. You know, Southern had a lot of pre-snap penalties, a lot of unsportsmanlike conduct penalties. So really, you know, discipline was really the first thing they really wanted to hit on. And then, you know, the usual coach talk, which is, you know, execution, being able to retain the information, not just from the summer, but from the previous spring, and having to really pick up where they left off in this fall camp. And so after about the first couple of practices, we asked him, we were like, Coach, I mean, have the guys been doing it? Have there been any drop-off from their spring? He says, no, not at all. I mean, guys have really, you know, picked up from where they left off in the spring game. Really, it's all about trying to get those newcomers, those guys they didn't have in the summer, those JUCO guys, those transfers, getting them up to speed and seeing how they progress.
Let's look at this program, right? I often have conversations with Jim Kleinpeter of The Advocate about his perspective on Southern. But you and I often talk, you know, when we're at the press conferences and at practice and whatever else. From your opinion, when you circle spots, right? Let's circle a spot offense and defense. Crucial areas that you see for most improvement, one spot offensively and defensively.
Well, offensively, the most obvious, the quarterback. I mean, that's been the issue for the last, I want to say, since Austin Howard left. I mean, there's been really no consistency at the quarterback position for Southern, going back to Ladarius Skelton, Bubba McDaniel, John Lampley, Deshaun McCray, Harold Blood, the list goes on. And I feel like Southern's had a hard time really trying to figure out who they really want to be in these last 3 years. So, obviously, you know, quarterback going into this season, there's a 4-way competition between Noah Bowden, ZT said Jalen Woods, and they brought in Angelo Izard from Tuskegee to duke it out. And I've been trying to get Coach Graves to budge. Coach, I've been trying. I even tried again yesterday because today they're having a close scrimmage. And for the longest, Graves and Coach Frederick, Mark Frederick, the OC, they've been saying, yeah, we hope to have a decision after the second scrimmage next week. But I tried to get him to budge yesterday. I was like, Coach, will y'all at least have a front runner after today's scrimmage? He just swiftly said, nope.
You bet, man. You've been around this profession long enough to know you're not gonna know until leading right up.
I know, but you still gotta try. You still have to try.
That was like when Jim Kleinpeter one time was trying to get those that injury out of Coach Dooley. You remember that?
Hey,
was you there that day?
Absolutely. That was one of the greatest and humorous days of the Tuesday presser.
Yeah, don't ask me another question
Don't ask me about no injuries. Yeah. And then you had Dooley storming out of the presser. I was like, all right.
Yeah, that was like when Webby was in that Breakfast Club interview and said, don't ask me nothing else about no seizures.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's circle
back.
Circle back. Defense right now. Let's circle. You say for you offense. For Jim, it was the offensive line. For you, it's going to be the quarterback position. Now let's look at the defensive side of the ball. Circle a crucial area that you feel needs the most improvement.
Oh, the back end. The back end. When you lose 4 starters, you lose Jordan Carter at safety. You lose Chris Davis, who's now at Houston. You lose Dimitri Morcell, Tyler Justin. 4 or 5 starters. I mean, you expect to have some type of drop-off.
Mm-hmm.
And Southern was one of the best. That was one of the best units in the SWAC last year.
Mm-hmm.
Now, they bring back some key contributors. You got Rodney Johnson, who I assume is going to be a starter, one of those corners. You make Horatio Johnson, who saw some time.
And I think they're high on Horatio.
They're very high on Horatio. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because they've been moving him at cornerback and safety.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got the other guys who have kind of played some, but they haven't got any real starting potential, like Luke Rose. I see Marcus Bourne.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure he's going to step up more at his position on the back end. And when we talked to defensive coordinator Henry Miller, he's like, there's more talent back there. And I find it kind of hard to believe because when you lose that many people, it's like, man, y'all more talented. But he's like, no, he has more to work with. He has more depth. They bring in the transfer like Xavier Spencer from Texas San Antonio, who they expect to get in. They brought in a familiar face, Herman Brister from Air Force.
Southern Lab
guy. So they say they're going to be all right on the back end. I kind of find that hard to believe, but we shall wait and see. But the secondary is my focal point of defense because I think the front seven going to be all right.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not really worried about that. My main thing with the front seven is getting that opposite edge rusher next to Kelby Givens because Givens is going to draw a lot of double teams.
Yeah.
And can Darius Harry, Jelani Davis, can they win their one-on-ones while Givens is getting that much attention?
Yeah. And then you factor in Cotton right there in the mix too, man. Cotton is a disruptor.
That guy's been there for a minute.
Devin Cotton is a disruptor, man. He is a man amongst boys, and when you see him, he just looks the part. He's every bit of it. And I'm interested because he's been dealing with so many injuries, right? Just unfortunately for him. I'm interested if he can stay healthy, how big of a name could he have this year?
Oh, he could be a huge name. I mean, this is a guy who used to play SEC caliber football.
Mm-hmm.
And, anytime you get those big guys to come in the SWAC, you obviously expect them to make an impact.
Mm-hmm.
And when you have somebody like him who has the longevity and the years that he's had playing college football, I mean, he's one of your guys. I mean, outside of Kelby Givens and Derek Williams, because those are your 2 main guys in the front seven, Cotton is that third leader. So, yeah, if this defensive line wants to really take off, then, he has to be a big part of that.
Let me circle an area for me that I have had questions as much as we talked about the quarterback position at Southern has been the question mark. For me, it's been wide receiver. Southern has just not, for me, had that standout, as Coach Brown said, that dog. Southern has not quite had a standout receiver to me, just somebody that's a go-getter. When the game, hey, throw the hand up, hey, me. I have not seen that at Southern in some time since I guess I would say the great Willie Quinn.
You mentioned that, but they had those guys the last 2 years. August Pete should have got a lot more productivity than he got.
Mm-hmm.
Cassius Allen, 2 years ago, I feel like he was getting some reps, and then last year he just completely fell off. I don't know if that. I mean, if that's his fault, coaching, scheming, whatever. But he just completely fell off, and then they tried to get Jalen Howard mixed in from Prairie View. That didn't really work out a lot. But I feel like Allen and Pete, those were the two guys. Big, long, rangy, 6'3", 6'4" guys to go up, win they 50-50 balls, and I feel like they didn't really get the productivity that they deserve. So I feel like they've had them. They just didn't really use them. Now, this year, I mean, people are really high on Darren Morris. Very high on him, another long, rangy guy. One of the best players in the state, right there up the road from Southern Lab. He showed flashes last year in homecoming, and then he had a touchdown in the Bayou Classic. I feel like he has high number one potential. So I'll be looking up at Darren Morris this season.
Who else around that wide receiver position for you?
Obviously, Chandler Whitfield. I mean, he is, I would say, the OG of that wide receiver room. Who else was I? I would say I'm very interested to see Quay Davis, the transfer just brought in from Texas Southern.
This is what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
you
so,
see, you was like,
yeah, I know. You got me with that
you're
one.
rolling off names.
I'm rolling off
the
names.
Defensive backside and the D line.
Yeah.
But when we get to wide receiver, it's that
yeah, you're right.
You know, that's why I circle that area, because I get it. People gonna say, well, who was throwing it to him? But still, the ball was being thrown.
It was.
It ain't like Southern didn't complete a pass last year. I saw a lot of drop passes as well. And that has seemed to be something that I think has been just a scar on our wide receivers, or drop passes. And then when you look at the third down conversions last year, Southern did not do well at converting third downs. And a lot of it, too, came to those false start penalties. Oh, my God. It literally killed drives for Southern last year. And why I want to have this conversation before we go to break real quick, your thoughts, and, of course, Coach Dooley is no longer here, but just your thoughts and his interaction with the media last year after games and his response to some of those losses, in which you and I look at film and the fans watch the game. I've always wanted to have this conversation with you, but
you really throwing me the lob on this?
Hey, this is what we do, baby.
You really throwing me the live on this?
He ain't around here no more, so you ain't got nothing to worry about. You'll see him at the back.
I didn't have anything to worry about during the season, so hey, as athletic director Roman Banks mentioned after they let go of Dooley, it all comes down to accountability.
Yeah.
It all comes down to, if you are the leader of the football team, if you can't step to the podium in front of the cameras and you can't say, hey, guys, I did this. I messed that up. I should have did this. I should have did that.
Did you ask him that the infamous question after the SWAC championship, would you have played the other quarterback when Butler came in? Was that you?
That was me.
And he said absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
What was your facial expression at that point?
It was just because you watching it play out. You watching Bubba trying his hardest.
And if we wasn't down by 30 points in the first quarter, we may have had a ball game.
Right. They cut it down to like, what, 12?
Yeah, they cut down a lot.
They cut it down to 12, and I like, Coach, do you, like, looking back at it, do you regret not starting Bubba in the first place? Absolutely not. I wish, it played out the way we wanted to, so you planned on going down 30 points in the first quarter?
It was embarrassing. Look, I left off the field, and when it set with the band, I was just like, hey, you know what? Hey, human jukebox, let's go, baby, blow some. And I think the other thing was after the FAMU game.
That was the worst one.
Yeah. I think even at that point, I think that's when he started to lose the players, because after that, even with the player interviews after that press conference, you can really see, like, the players took more accountability about what happened in that game than what Coach Dooley did.
As the media, we're not supposed to be, have, feelings or, be biased. But but seeing the players walk off the field after that loss to FAMU, that I kind of felt for them.
Yeah.
Because I know that was a game.
And it was very winnable.
It was very winnable. Probably should have won.
Yeah.
And what they put into that game and the way that final drive was executed, 2.5 minutes, you got to go 75 yards, and you run the ball on the first play, and then you run the ball again 5 plays later, and then you sit down in front of the cameras and say they were dropping back 8. Now, we were all there.
I was there, too. Yeah, you're right.
We were all there. This game was on ESPN.
It was definitely televised nationally.
Yeah, we have all 22 vision. I see 6 guys in the box. I see 5 guys going back in coverage. And it's like, They drop it back 8 in the coverage, then what are you supposed to do? And then the same thing, just like the SWAC championship, asked them, Coach, we're looking back at it, you wish you would have did something different? Absolutely not. You throw an interception, then you don't have that opportunity. Well, Coach, this is 2 minutes. We're here.
And that started to –
we're here.
That for me, and we're going to get ready to take a break, I think that's what really started to hurt the fan base because it was like you're playing in my face. We're watching the news. We're watching the games. And then you telling me, well, you have to know football in order to understand why I made the decision. And you started to make me feel like because I'm a fan, I'm dumb. I don't know. I don't understand what's going on. And when you paint that picture and you start to force people to want to think that, it's like you're force feeding me to say what you saw wasn't right. That ain't what you saw. Let me tell you what you saw. And it's like, no, bruh. If it was blue, I saw blue. You can't tell me it was red, no matter how many ways you try to put it. I know what I saw. I saw blue, and I think, unfortunately, that started to kill the fan base. Terrence Graves is now going to have to win that fan base that started to, I don't know. And I think that's going to be the biggest thing for Terrence Graves. But guess what? As a coach, the only way to make that happen is win. And I think that first game against McNeese, that is a statement game. I have continuously said, and that's why I was talking to Zach about this, we get the games against the SWAC opponents, right? We play them. We've been playing them every year for 50, 60, 100 years. When you go out and get those non-conference games, especially against in-state opponents on your level, FCS, that's your brand. That motivates people when you say, because one thing I will say this, we're going to go to break. As much as I don't like to mention LSU on here, one thing I have always admired about LSU football, no matter what nobody says, when they go out and play national brands, non-conference, that's how you grow when you go get those victories. That brings in a whole new fan base. That brings in new eyes, and it raises questions. Look at this program continues to rise. Now, do they win the SEC every year? No, they don't. Are they a national champion team every year? No, they're not. But if you go get those non-conference victories and you get them early, that riles up a fan base. And for Southern, you have to rile up the fan base early because it doesn't take much for the fans to be like, you know what, I'll wait to the Bayou Classic or I'll wait to homecoming. You want to keep fans engaged and keep them going and keep them feeling like every game is an opportunity instead of, oh, that's just Savannah State. I ain't worried about it. No, you want to be there because you saw we beat McNeese the week before. Oh, man, they ought to show out this week. And keep that going all the way through Nicholls, especially when you get a non-conference team like Nicholls, who's going to most likely be a top 25 team. Been a while since we had a nationally ranked top 25 FCS program coming into Baton Rouge. You want to create that environment that's going to make it hard for them because you better believe when you go down to Nicholls, when we go to Thibodaux, they're going to make it hard for us. So you have to create those environments, and especially as you lead up, it doesn't have to just be the big games, but as the fan base. But simply how you do that is win games, and I think that's going to be the biggest thing for Coach Terrence Graves. But for a lot of people, we don't have that time to waste no more where you say we're building a program. We're in this microwave society now. Everybody it's like the commercial. It's my money, and I want it now.
Right.
So let's get ready to take a break. We'll come back on the other side. Kevin and I are going to close this thing out, all right?
watching the Southern University Human Jukebox. Click here to watch more videos. And don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share.
What's going on, everybody? I am Perry White. I'm the host of the Jaguar Journal. I want to make sure that you guys tune in live each and every Saturday morning from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. on 107.3 FM. We also have our affiliates in Alexandria, Louisiana, as well as down in New Orleans. And if you're not able to catch us on radio live, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel as well as follow us on Facebook. It's the Jaguar Journal. All right, we're back. It's the Jaguar Journal. I'm Perry White. Good to have you guys with us. Hope you guys enjoying the show. Kevin Baptiste here in the show. Mike, get on the mic. Mike, get on the mic. How about that? Okay, he want to be seen. Come on. Get on here. You tell the people what's going on.
Okay. This is my, second or third time on the mic. If you guys haven't met me yet, my name is Michael Patel. I'm the producer for the show. This is my 30-year anniversary on the show. It's the second show of August, so if you guys remember for me, usually I'll remember. This will be my fourth football season for you guys too. And I was trying to think of a joke, but the only thing I can think of is I know Dooley wasn't that good for Southern. But
that's the joke, Mike.
But I started when he was the coach, so I think I was the best thing that came out the Dooley era.
Oh, okay. I heard that,
right.
Mike. You heard that?
I heard that.
You see that?
I heard that.
So he missed the whole Odom's era, you know.
Yeah.
And, yeah. Well, congratulations, Mike, man. Listen. I am glad to have Mike here because with the vision that we wanted with the show, Mike has really done a lot to help us. Just not to help, has done a lot to actually make it come into fruition. And because of that, Mike, man, I love you. I thank you, man. Appreciate you, man. Listen, this wouldn't be nearly as successful as it is because we've had many producers over the years, and a lot of them just simply did not care about the show. The Jaguar Journal was just like something like, oh, I got to go do the Jaguar Journal because we ain't talking LSU like everybody else, right? It was like Southern, I don't care. But Mike took a liking to it, and then I brought him to Southern. He went to a tailgate, and he's been family ever since.
That's how everybody get hooked in. Once they go to a tailgate, they see them boilers, that grill.
Yeah. Mike told me that one time we were eating brim. I was at a tailgate. Mike was like, I don't eat fish like that. I don't want none of that fish. I said, Mike, slide the meat off the bone onto the bread. If I knew Mike had a plate full of brim, you would have thought he just brim, crappie, all of that. But nonetheless, man, that's what it's all about, bringing people, get them to understand that, you know, this ain't nothing boring to talk about. There's a love and a passion behind a fan base considered called the Jaguar Nation and Southern alums all across the world that not only listen to this show, but show up to games and watch you each and every night because they want to get that, as they say, feed their appetite on what's going on over on the bluff. And because of that, man, I appreciate you and all that you do in covering Southern and putting it out there because there's a lot of different ways to go, but you make sure you do it. And you got a special coming up.
Yes, sir. It's that time of the year. It's August, the annual WAFB Southern Football preseason special. It will air on Thursday, not Saturday like we usually do it. Thursday, August 22nd, 6:30, right after our newscast. We're going to do some features on the coaches, one of the players, try to do a little talking about what's going on around the SWAC and really set the vibe and the mood for the upcoming season like we usually do.
So you guys be sure to tune in to that. And, Kevin, where can they find you if they want to keep up with you?
Well, obviously on WAFB. on TV. We also stream on the website. And then my social media pages on Twitter/X, Instagram at KBaptiste Jr. I give you information and with a side of humor that goes with that. So,
and you see, we got a little humor here on the Jaguar Journal, man. You got to have some energy, man. If you ever need somebody to come in and talk with you, talk some Southern football, I have a TV face and a TV voice. I'm always ready.
Absolutely.
All right. Kevin, thank you for coming in this morning, man. I want to thank Senator Cleo Fields coming on talking some Louisiana and national politics. I hope you guys go back and listen to that. Very informative. Hey, I'm not trying to steer you on who to vote for. I'm just trying to give you an understanding of what's going on out here to vote for, all right? And at the same time, my man Zach, a.k.a. Blue, coming on talking to us about the FCS landscape, particularly here in Louisiana, right? Nicholls, McNeese State, both on Southern schedule, giving us a breakdown of those programs and talking about Grambling and talking about Southern. So hope you guys have enjoyed today's show. Go follow the Jaguar Journal on our Facebook page and subscribe to the Jaguar Journal on our YouTube channel. And as always, guys, man, listen, we'll be back at the same time in the same place because always it's the Jaguar Journal. Have a good week. What's going on, everybody? I am Perry White. I'm the host of the Jaguar Journal. I want to make sure that you guys tune in live each and every Saturday morning from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. on 107.3 FM. We also have our affiliates in Alexandria, Louisiana, as well as down in New Orleans. And if you're not able to catch us on radio live, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel as well as follow us on Facebook. It's the Jaguar Journal.